Hey, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, morning time, whatever time you're awake and watching this show. Good morning. How are we doing today, Jason Galvin?
I'm great. How are you, J-Lo?
I'm good. Let's see if I can do this. Cool. Oh, watch it fade. Watch it fade. Watch it fade. Yes.
Oh, look at you. You got the whole Joe Costello lecture this week about how much you screw up StreamYard and why our podcast isn't as good as his.
I know, right?
Let me log in and fix it for you. And look, it's already working wonders.
And I'm trying to figure out, dude, when I set up the stream or the YouTube thing and we set it up on something else, I was trying to be quick, concise, and I thought I had it, but it was all tied into mine. Then I went and did another thing, and then it wasn't going there. And now I think I finally figured it out. We'll see. I don't know. If not, we'll post it all over the place and you'll see it someplace else. But you should find us on Facebook, X, the YouTube channel. Again, you gotta resubscribe to the link I sent out yesterday. So if you want to we had like subscribers on the other one that we couldn't stream a thing live, and you could just see the replays. So you got to resubscribe. That's all I'm telling.
And now we can do it live. We're gonna do it live.
We're doing it live right now. It's streaming. Yeah. So the link that got posted on social media, that's the live. You should see it. It populated there.
Apple and Spotify. Like, the show is up on Apple and Spotify within an hour of us doing it every time. That's where we really go subscribe, go like, go rate. You know, help send Jason Logan's kids to college.
Right. Well, there's one that really needs to go to college, but other than that, we need something. We need some type of support. I don't know, man.
Right. Jason is an out of work comedian, so we need to find him. We need to find him some cash.
Should we talk about that, or should we wait a little bit later on to talk about that?
Nah, we got it. We got a guest in waiting. He was here early. We could ask him about it. Yeah,
we'll ask about it. Let's ask you. How are we feeling after the big game on Sunday, Super Bowl? Let's talk about that real quick.
There was a game on Sunday.
Last Sunday, yeah.
I think I've wiped last Sunday from my memory.
Usher was did halftime.
Usher. Oh wow, Usher's still around, huh? There was a game last Sunday, really?
There was, Jason Galvin. By the way, here's what I will say about this. You pretty much predicted the score. Dead on.
47 points. At least I had the total. I nailed the total to the point. 47. That was good.
It did not go your way, but you nailed that score. And I was going to congratulate you on that on Sunday.
Well, thank you.
But I figured you'd be.
But you realized that I was borderline suicidal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not good.
So I had to do a corporate gig that night. I was complaining that I was going to have to play music for this. There was 8,000 people at the Orlando Convention Center for the big game. They came in. It was they opened doors at 6, and at 6:15 they had a corporate video. Like they were doing like the president of the company did a like stand up. Oh, we're here live on the field, and it was fine. But I played from 6 to 6:15. And in that 15 minutes, at least 5 people came up. You're not playing during the game, are you? And I'm like, no. I go, you'll hear the game. Well, we want to watch the anthem. We want to watch everything. I'm like, I got you. So the whole idea was to play like we play coming in and out of like pairs of cars and things like that. So that's like 30, 40 seconds of songs, right? Like they're like, oh yeah, you can play coming in and out of commercials. No, because the commercials, there's music in the bumper leaving the game, and then there's always like the commercial like started immediately.
Right.
So they're like, okay, we'll just play when they score. There wasn't a lot of scoring going on until maybe the middle of the third quarter. I did nothing. I got paid $1,000 to sit there and watch the Super Bowl. I was like, this is the dumbest gig I've ever done. And the songs, I played 4 songs, and it was like 10 seconds of the song after they scored, and before they went right to the like replay.
I think our guest got paid $250,000 to watch it on an airplane. I think that's awesome. Yeah, he hit the long ball on that one.
Yeah, he definitely did pretty good. You want to bring him in? Let's bring him in.
Yeah, let's bring him in.
Ladies and gentlemen, recent winner of a test session down in Bradenton, Florida, which was more than a test session. Got to give it up. He's driving Hey,
$250,000.
I know. He's driving a funny car. That's the first time he drove a funny car in a race. And guess what? He just went out and won it. Give it up one more time for Austin Prock.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
P? Look at you checking the background. And...
Yeah, I know. I gotta find a bank that'll accept this sucker. It's as long as my office.
Do you feel like Happy Gilmore with the big check? No, I want my check now. I want it now.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Did you watch the Super Bowl, AP?
I actually ended up staying in Tampa to watch the Super Bowl at the Hard Rock Casino. I drove up there the following morning after the win and hung out with Dominic Scelzi and a whole bunch of sprint car racers. My guys got to have a day off on Sunday after working 100+ hours, and we all watched the game together and had to treat them right for busting their tails all week.
Good deal. Yeah, that makes. I didn't even think about that. They're all down there in Volusia and whatever, right?
Yeah. I went over to watch the high limit race on whatever that Monday, and ended up getting rained out. So smoked at home Tuesday morning for the start of the week, and got everything cleaned up, tore down. There was champagne everywhere, everywhere. The car is it is in tough shape. Like, we cleaned on it for 8 hours, and it's still got champagne on it.
Yeah, did like confetti get stuck to it, like some pieces that you couldn't really get off? Because I bet that is terrible.
There was no confetti, thank God, but there was about, I think, 12 bottles of champagne that got lit off at once. And I mean, the body was covered. It ruined the windshield. It got underneath the car. It was on the mags, the toy box, like literally everywhere. I don't even understand how it got everywhere like it did, but that's physics, I guess.
So that money's already been spent. That money's gone. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We spent that in elbow grease.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. So how was it competing in the funny car? I mean, this is you're called into service and you're like, all right, I got this. And Jason and I talked about the differences driving a top fuel car and a funny car a couple weeks ago. But how was it for you, man?
To be honest, it was a blur. The first 2 days of testing, we couldn't even get past the Christmas tree. And we stayed late Tuesday night. We were there till about 1 a.m. trying to come up with a game plan, how to sort this thing out. And went out there Wednesday morning. Car was trucking, had an electrical issue. And on the final test session, run 9, the thing goes up there and runs 384.0 at 336 and change for my first full pull in a funny car in 6 years. And that definitely got my attention, that's for sure. And from there on, it was, they threw me to the wolves because it was go time. The race was starting that evening, and I had to make sure I wasn't the one that screwed it up, because I knew once this thing got going up and down the racetrack, we were going to have a shot to win.
Take us through. I've told this a little bit, and I think the story's probably better coming from you. I told everybody when this announcement came out, like, I wasn't that worried about you in a funny car, right? You've grown up around these things. I know you've always wanted to race a funny car, but it's not like you lack experience in them. And you've been a test driver. You had that year off after COVID where you were a test driver. But take us through the first time you made a run in a nitro car. What type of car was it? What was that like?
So the first funny car I drove, or blown nitro car, I ran an A-Fuel dragster, but that doesn't really count. So the first funny car I drove was Courtney Force's in the spring of 2018. Obviously, I had minimal drag racing experience, kind of did a crash course in a few lower categories up to the point. But, I remember that run like it was yesterday. That thing firing up, and, there's 8 crew guys huddled around this thing, and they're all relying on you not to slip your foot off the clutch pedal and run everyone over. But I got in that thing, and it just felt like home. And of course, there had to be some drama in my first run. I go up there pre-stage, I'm shaking. My foot's about to slip off the clutch pedal. I'm shaking so bad, getting ready to dump the clutch to go in and fully stage. And fully stage, and the tree malfunctions, and it never comes down. So I'm sitting there with the pedal out for, it seems like an eternity. It probably was only, 10 or 15 seconds, but when you're driving one of these things, you don't know what's going on around you. So, like, a very bad thing to do, or rookie mistake would me just go and just assume that the tree was malfunctioned. I didn't know where anybody was at around the car. So I'm sitting there patiently, and all of a sudden, here comes Brian Karate over the radio. Go! And I mean, I bet I had a perfect light. It scared the crap out of me. And I run it to about 300 feet, 330 feet, and they told me to, lift just to get my feet wet. And if they wouldn't have had that stupid shut-off box, I would have drove that sucker to the lights. It was the greatest feeling in the world. And it just, there's nothing better than driving a nitro funny car.
That's crazy. I love it. How was it? Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I was just gonna say, karate yelling "go" in my ear probably scared the shit out of me too.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How is it? So another big part of this whole component, you driving funny car, you're basically racing with your family. I mean, this is like a family team. That's cool. We've talked about it before. Like, I had you on my 10 questions thing, and you likened that 10 question. You renamed it the therapy with Jason because I was asking you how racing with your family and all that stuff. How is that? How's your dad? How's everybody? How do they treat you in the car? I mean, I'm sure you're not. They probably don't treat you just like a son. Like, oh, come on, kid, you can do it. They're probably ripping you a new one every time, right?
Yeah, things are good. Honestly, we work very well together, and all of us know that we take each of our jobs very seriously, and at the end of the day, we're all professionals, and we have to treat each other like that going up there. But yeah, definitely, it's a little more nerve-wracking driving for your dad and brother, because if you mess up, you're gonna get the real truth out of them. There's gonna be no sugarcoating it, or it's gonna be straight cutthroat. But we all worked good together, and I mean, after the first 2 days of testing, we didn't kill each other after smoking the tires and shaking 7 runs in a row. So I think if we can get through that, we'll be able to, get through anything this year. There was a couple testy moments. It's pretty comical. I've never used a radio in any of my race cars. They wanted me to have a radio this year, but listening to my dad and brother go at it on the starting line, trying to make these clutch calls is pretty entertaining sometimes. But they're doing a great job, and it's just surreal working with them and working with this Cornwell Tools and AAA team. A lot of these guys I worked with back in 2021 when I lost my ride in Top Fuel. So it's kind of crazy that it's all come full circle, and it's a really fun environment right now.
Yeah, I come from a like a big Italian family, and we talk loud, and that's how we show our love. Is that how you guys are? Do you guys, bicker? Like, no, you can't do it that way. I love you. Do you guys talk like that?
There's definitely times and places for all that. But yeah, no, it was pretty well all business. Not too much arguing. I don't really know of any on my end of it. I will tell you one thing. The first test run that we made over there, this thing left and it dropped a cylinder on the right side right at the hit. And, I'm nervous going into this, obviously. I'd been stewing on it for 3 weeks or whatever the short amount of time was that I knew I was actually going to drive this race car. And stand on the gas, this thing drops a hole on the right side. It tries making a 90-degree right-hand turn. And I mean to tell you, like, when I hit the gas, the thing was already turning right before I hit the gas. Like, I had my hands full. So I stand on the gas before I can even get my hand on the wheel. I'm full left, like hand over fist. And of course, I'm an idiot, so I just stay in it all the time, So I get this sucker back into the middle of the groove, and then it smokes the tires. And I'm thinking to myself over the radio, and I'm like, you just look like a complete idiot. Like, did you have this thing pointed wrong, or like, are you like way behind this thing? So I get in the tow vehicle and we're rolling back, and I'm apologizing to the guys. I got my tail between my legs. And I come back in the trailer straight up to the lounge, and I'm like, man, I am sorry, guys. Like, that was embarrassing. And they're like, what? They're like, you did a hell of a job. That thing had a hole out before you even stood on the gas. And, like, you brought it right back into the middle of the groove. And I'm like, woo, thank God. Like, oh, man, I was scared shitless.
Hey, how many night runs had you made in a funny car before this week? I'm curious about that.
0.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
0. Yeah.
How drastically different was that?
it's quite a bit different. You can see the header flames out the windows if you're looking for it. I found that out in the final round. I never saw them before that, but
you found it out in the final round. What are you looking over? Where's Matt?
Yeah,
Did
well,
I aim on him?
I could hear Matt out there, and then I'm like, and then I started seeing some orange. I actually got a little inside going for the parachutes down there, but night run in a funny car is wild. Like, especially there, Bradenton, they did a great job lighting the track, but even still, it's like driving into a black hole, you know, in a funny car with all the shrouding around you. And the first night run I made was T1. We ended up going to the number 1 spot until the last pair, run 85, I think. And I actually lifted 50 feet early because my first full pull in the funny car, when we ran 84, I go down there, run it to the finish line. I went for the parachutes, hit the lever. The lever didn't move because of my scrawny little arms, and had no chutes until about another, I would say, 1,200 feet into the shutdown area. And you want to talk about puckering up. That scared. I don't get scared very often, but that scared me. And
that's not the world's longest shutdown either.
No. They said it was long, but it sure don't feel long when you're rolling 337 through the lights.
And you said they did a really good job lighting it, but as we were watching on the feed, the stream, that shutdown was dark, man. And I was like, it had to be kind of freaky getting down there. Like, oh my God, how far are we getting to get to the end of the track here?
Yeah, well, for us fuel racers, like they had the 1,000 foot to the quarter mile lit up really good, and then the shutdown area was dark, but like at least you could see what you were driving into. Because like a pro stocker, they literally were driving into the dark, where we had another 300 feet of shutdown area that was lit. So yeah, it was pretty wild. I lifted early on that first night round, ensured I had the laundry out, and I'm glad I did, because a pair or two later, Paul Lee was rolling into the strawberry field back there. So I was plenty proud of myself for getting those things out.
What'd you think of 341?
That's real fast. Wasn't as cool as the number 1 qualifier though.
Nope, sure wasn't. All right, so let's go into that. So what did you feel about that number 1 qualifier getting something more than a yellow hat? That's definitely cool, right?
Yeah, no, that was cool. In my short career, I've won 25 grand now on specialty qualifying events. So I'd love to have some more of those.
Yeah, I think I think the sentiment around this whole thing, and I could be wrong, is that there's a lot of really good stuff that came out of it. Came out of this race, and everybody has their idea of how to fix the NHRA and what could be better, and what's wrong with the world, and again, out of work comedians giving them a microphone, things like that.
Well, that is a real problem. In fairness,
it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. What was your biggest takeaway out of the whole thing? And I don't know if you could speak for JFR, but granted, you walked away with the $250,000, but the whole thing, what was the biggest thing that you could put your finger on, say we should do more of that at NHRA?
There was a lot of things that I liked about it. One of the coolest things was being there all week and then watching them take this little tiny small racetrack and transform it into what it was for the race weekend, because we were there all week and we kind of got to see everything be built, and they really took a pretty average racetrack and made it look very, very professional, with the, VIP booths and double-decker stands and bands and live bars and, you name it. They seemed like they had it there. But I really the format was pretty nice. The 1 run on Thursday, 3 runs on Friday. I liked that for qualifying, and the 8-car field was pretty cool too. It makes it so much more cutthroat, because on average there's 13 or 14 really good cars in each nitro category, and if you're not on the pin, you might not qualify, and it would be very interesting to see a series done like that, because you'd see a lot of good cars sitting out. But another thing that they did for the fans is the cars that didn't qualify, they still got to watch them run, which I thought was kind of interesting as well. So there was a lot of good takeaways from it. but at the end of the day, it's still a drag race. It's still, NHRA has the same product, and hopefully, we can see more big events like this in the future, whether it's NHRA or someone else.
Yeah, my big takeaway, like the number one thing I took out of it is we need to do, in my opinion, some sort of event somewhere that is Friday, Saturday centric, like what you guys had there. Let's make 3 qualifying runs on a Friday. Let's race on a Saturday. Let's not run round 1 until 12:30 or 1 o'clock. Let's run the final round at 9 o'clock at night with the sundown, the semifinals at dusk. Like, that's what I like. And yes, maybe that event operates a little differently. Like, one of the things that I've had, just hearing people's takes on it and whatnot. Well, they should do this versus that. And here's what the pro shootout did great. And NHRA should do that. Some of it doesn't work because, like, people understand some of the logistics behind an NHRA event, right? Like, the sportsman stuff is a big deal towards making it all financially work. The TV package, like, I thought Flo did a good job, but like, to produce a, like a full blown like Fox broadcast, like, that takes a lot more money and equipment and people and stuff. And so some of that, like, you've got to have like the sportsman at most events because it helps kind of fund that and fill the day or whatever. But I think there's an avenue, and I'm not talking to anybody. I'd be stunned if people in HRA, and I know there were some NHRA officials that were there, didn't go back and have a conversation and go, okay, maybe somewhere we should be, maybe it's one of our, races that we maybe struggle a little more with, that's already a tight, compact schedule, something like that. You take a smaller track, like Austin mentioned, like Bradenton. I love Vic's track. I don't think when Austin said average track, it was a slight at the racetrack. It's not a big facility, right? I mean, it's for people who've never been to Bradenton or like watched it on TV. The Flow broadcast, I thought, did a good job of making it look like it was this grand facility. And yes, they did a great job packing the place, but realistically, I mean, that place is smaller than I think any track that we go to on the NHRA tour. Maybe sans Epping. Like, Phoenix is significantly bigger, and Phoenix is a small track. Gainesville is the Taj Mahal as far, like, not even forget facilities, just like seating capacity, right? Compared to what Vic has available. And like, that's not Vic's fault. Vic's got a piece of property and nowhere else to put it. But so there are some tracks in some areas I think it would be fun to kind of explore down the road of doing something like what Austin mentioned there. And your idea, it's fine. Like, I don't necessarily want to go to 8-car fields like for a series. And I think it would be hard to just throw that into like a points paying season. Like, hey, this week we're going to run 8 cars instead of 16. But I do think it would be interesting, like how we have our call out races, for instance. Like, what if we qualified for those versus it being, 24 months of points? What if we had a lone type of event like they used to do with the Funny Car Top Fuel deal in Bristol, and we made everybody qualify for an 8-car field like that? I mean, that's essentially what you guys did. It when it was intense. Friday night was intense. Yeah,
for sure. And like you said, like I agree with you on the side of things where it would be cool if NHRA could do like a night race, do a Friday, Saturday deal. I'm on the same page with you. I've thought that would be cool for many years. And I think the fans enjoy it too, Friday, they love Friday nights, because of the header flames. But, for some people, a lot of our race fans, it's not like they're driving, 5 minutes or 10 minutes to a race. A lot of them are driving an hour plus, I feel like. So to get there on a Friday night is tough, unless you're taking off work. And if you did a Saturday, race event that was, started mid-afternoon, I think it would be very beneficial to the fans.
Well, in Topeka, we had the finals at night. That was only because of weather. But, man, those finals this past year in Topeka were awesome.
Oh, it was lit. Gosh, the finals in Topeka were crazy.
Yeah. How did you like the chip draw? I know I was watching some of the Flow coverage, and Brittany, she was not a big fan of it. She just had to readjust her strategy and stuff. How do you like the chip draws every time you get up there and do this stuff?
I mean, it didn't really change anything, in my opinion. Like, when we drew for first round, I felt like all of the matchups were pretty reasonable. You know what I'm saying? For like how everyone stacked up and qualified. So, yeah, I didn't really mind it. You know, when it's an 8-car field like that, it doesn't matter if it's chip draw or if it's, you know, the standard 1 and 8 or whatever. Everybody's a hitter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's not like when there's 16 cars and, you know, anymore in NHRA, if you're not qualified number 1, more than like you're racing a hitter. But yeah, it didn't really bother me. Second round, it kind of bothered me that I had to race my boss. We had this all dreamed up that we were going to race in the final and, you know, maybe take the top bulb out on each other. But other than that, I didn't mind the chip draw.
Yeah, I think that's more for the fans, really, because that just gives a little more. You know, I'm going to get
you. Like if you were racing a series like that, it would be kind of unfair, you know. But the fact that it was like a trial race or expedition race, whatever you want to call it, it was like this race was solely for the fans. You know what I'm saying? And the $250,000 was just an add-on.
Yeah, and going to the fans too, and going to my my super fan competition plus, the you know, he was talking about the fans in Bradenton being hardcore fans, which Jason and I've been down there for World Series of Pro Mod. We've been to things like that, and those fans are no joke. They come out and they know what drag racing's all about, as opposed to, like, say you go to Charlotte 1, where it's just the casual fan that wants to see the spectacle of four wides. And it's, you know, what was did they have any like form of a midway down there where people can kind of get out of their seats and kind of walk around and look at stuff, or was it just the pro pits and everything, people coming around and talking?
Yeah, the pro pits, you know, there was all the trailers lined up, and then that was the staging lanes as well. But on the opposite side of the staging lanes, they had a midway setup. You know, there was a couple displays and a lot of food vendors. They had that big stage where they were playing live music with a big jumbotron over there. It was set up really nice. You know, like I said, for the size of the facility that they had to function out of, they really made it really nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, and really accessible for the fans. And you know, the only downside of that facility was the staging lanes, in my opinion. But I mean, that didn't hurt the racing. It didn't hurt the experience for the fans or anything. You know, you just had to get in your car way earlier, in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, no, they listen, again, we've been involved with World Series of Pro Mod and Drag Illustrated before, and those guys do a really good job. I mean,
I'm
really
on the record as saying I think if you're a fan of drag racing, right? Like, if you're us, Austin, grew up around the sport, right? Like, if you're a person who loves drag racing, like, you have to go to the World Series of Pro Mod at some point in your life and just experience it. It's totally different than any event I've been to. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's just different. You know, there's not really like a way to explain it. It's just different.
Yeah, I'll have to put that on the bucket list. I've never been.
Yeah. Hey, AP,
I'd probably want to race it if I went, though. I'd probably be like itching or something if I was watching everyone else have fun.
Have you ever driven a suspended drag car, like outside of like Super Comp?
No. I've always wanted to try. I think it would be interesting to, you know, feel the tire on something like that. And, you know, with my experience open wheel racing on suspension, I think I could probably adapt pretty quick.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Hey, what was the celebratory meal? Like, we all know you like to cook. You won $250,000. What was the celebratory meal?
I don't think I ate that night. Kind of foggy, as you would expect. Sunday I had a cheeseburger, and then when I got home, I made myself some lobster ravioli. We haven't gone out and done a true celebratory dinner, but maybe this weekend.
Lobster ravioli is a good one. Good one. Hey, I want to give you a second here on a little more like serious personal note, because I know you know, your drag racing career obviously took off thanks to some connections of some very famous and important people in your life, but a lot of that tied together with Frank Teagues, who we lost a week ago, and just kind of your general thoughts on what Frank meant to you in your life and getting you to where you are now.
Well, first off, I wouldn't even be in this position without Frank Teagues. You know, him and Don Perdome got me in, along with John Force, obviously, got me in the race car in 2019 to, you know, start this adventure. So Frank did a lot for me personally. You know, we're going to miss Frank, and, you know, I feel terrible for his family. They were, you know, a class act family, and obviously, you know, we didn't know them that long in the grand scheme of things, but we had a great relationship with every one of them. Always enjoyed having him and his family out to the racetrack. So yeah, it's obviously very sad, and you know, it hurts all of us at John Force Racing.
Yeah, Frank's a cool guy. I'm gonna miss hanging out with him at Seattle. It was always my favorite thing. Like, Seattle was his home track. He'd be down at like 330 feet up against the wall. Like, that's like the greatest thing in the world.
he scared me doing that. Like, him and all his buddies would stand down there, and I'm like, I would get into him. I'm like, dude, what are you doing standing right there? Like, you are in the splash zone. Like, this is not. He's like, oh, I don't care. This is badass. You know, I love it. You know, my mom and girlfriend went and stood with him one time down there, and they got an earful when they got back from that session. I was like, do not stand there. Bet. Like, you guys are wild.
Yeah, I don't
good old days.
Yeah, I don't understand how people do that. I mean, that's just crazy. Like, Jason and I were talking going into the Bradenton weekend. Like, would you stand in those VIP things right behind the burnout box, like they had there? I was like, Jason just said that. I go, yeah, I don't even walk behind cars like when they're burning out. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Can I tell you how many times I've been in the booth with like Reinhardt and a funny car does a burnout, and then the next thing you know, our window is splintered because it had a rock on the tire or something.
It happened in Gainesville this past year.
Yeah.
I've seen one of my buddies, Aaron Cave, over on Scrapper's car. He got hit by a Zeus button last year on the burnout. It was either on the burnout or the launch, but this Zeus button literally embedded in his shin. Like, it was like getting shot with a bullet. It's wild. A lot of energy coming off those tires.
Yeah. No kidding, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was just saying, what's next for you? We've had you 30 minutes. I told you we'd keep you for 30 minutes, but Gainesville's right around the corner. Are you guys doing any more testing before then? Are you chilling for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, we're gonna we'll go down there and test right before the event. I believe just one day. I think my dad wants to run 2 days, but we might be a little handcuffed. So we'll probably just get 1 day of testing and try and make four rips, and hopefully everything functions as it did last weekend in Bradenton. We'll get off to a really good start. But as for now, we're just getting everything dialed back in the shop, getting regrouped. Like, I think we made 16 or 17 runs there in Bradenton. So a lot of maintenance to do, a lot of regrouping, and just kind of fine tuning everything, you know, throwing me in the car at short notice. You know, we couldn't really get everything ideal on both cars, fitment wise. So I knocked that out this week, got both cars twinned, got another seat pour coming. So I can be comfortable in each car, and the boys are hard at work making it fast for me.
Hey, let me ask you this real quick too, just because I've heard a lot on the different podcasts. I've heard Loans. I heard Joan Allen talking about it. There was a rule announcement this week that had to do with replacement drivers that, you know, it wasn't really highly publicized, but there's now an NHRA rule. You have a replacement driver for up to 8 races. But has there been any more conversation? I know that the whole kind of situation with Robert kind of happened quickly. You know, there was the other thing. There's a good chance to put conspiracy theories to bed, because I've seen the conspiracy theories online of, well, Robert did this on purpose to keep Austin in a race car. Like, that wasn't the case at all from how I understand how this went down. I mean, you guys literally just like one day everybody found out. But I mean, has there been any more conversations now that it's been a few weeks about, okay, we're going to run this for points this year, or Robert is really going to try to come back, or maybe we'll put another car together if, you know, you're second in points and Robert's ready to come back and might have time to get into the top 10. Like, have you guys had that conversation at all?
We have not. You know, obviously I want Robert to get well as soon as he can. And, you know, and he wants to get back in the race car as soon as he can. So there's really no timeline. Obviously I want to race the whole season, but this opportunity was given to me for unfortunate circumstances. So if he wants to come back and get in his race car, I would totally understand. But yeah, like I said, there's no real plan, no real timeline. I'm just going to drive the wheels off this thing as long as I can.
Could you guys realistically throw a car, like, just like total hypothetical here? Like I'm sure the dragster is still sitting there. You don't really have a crew put together at this point for the third car or fourth car it would be. But let's just like hypotheticals. We're 6 races into the year. You've got 2 wins and you're second in points. And Robert's starting to feel like he could maybe be coming back. But you're second in points. But 6 races into the year, still plenty of time for Robert to come back and also get into the top 10 and be championship eligible. Do you guys think you could throw a team together on short notice like that?
You probably could. We could probably snake some of the guys out of the woodworks that have been retired or something like that. There's definitely enough parts and pieces at John Force Racing to throw a car together, and there's trailers. But to do something like that, it would cost so much money. Like those. I've switched funny car trailers over to dragster trailers and switched funny car teams over to running a dragster, and it's way more work than you would ever believe. It's not just rolling another car into the pit and heading to the racetrack. There's you got to redesign trailers, move, in a dragster, you got one race car up in each trailer, where a funny car, both are in one. There's a lot of things and pieces that need to be moved around. So, yeah, I think that would be a long shot, but you never know with John Force. He's a shoot by the hip kind of guy, and we'll just see where this year takes us.
Gosh, that fits your personality so well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's a new documentary on Apple TV that I just watched last night, and I watched the first 2 episodes. It's called Dynasty. I don't know if you know about this New England Patriots team that won like all these Super Bowls. And the first episode goes through how Drew Bledsoe got hurt. And then all of a sudden, here comes the White Knight, Tom Brady. And Tom Brady never gave back that position. I think that's kind of what Jason Galvin's saying here. I think if you go out and start winning Super Bowls, I don't think Robert Height's going to be able to get back.
I think you're putting words in my mouth now. But
I think that's what you're saying. I think
Robert Height was more successful after his second year in a funny car than Drew Bledsoe was after a decade.
I'm just saying.
NFL.
I think you're saying Austin Prock might be the Tom Brady of JFR. I think that's what you're saying.
I'm really trying to figure out if he's going to run for the whole year, so I know if I need to pick. Like, I got to make fantasy picks for champions at some point, and I'm trying to figure out if Austin should be on my list or not. Or do I just put the car down, right? Like Cornwell Tools funny car.
Yeah, there you go. Then you got all your bases covered. Yep.
Right.
I love it. Well, I know you're probably going to have a humongous season, forever. How long it lasts, definitely the circumstances are, kind of weird, but that's all right. You won $250,000 right out the gate. Let's go. What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, it's definitely off to a good start. And a lot of people have, said what you just said. You're going to have a huge season and a lot of wins and et cetera, et cetera. But we haven't even started the season yet. So we got off on the right foot, but we got a ton of work to do. And I still have a lot to learn. I'm no Robert Height by any means. Not saying I can't get there one day, but these funny cars are tough to drive. And, I got a lot more situations to learn, but hopefully, as we did last week, I'll be a quick learner all year and do a good job for this Cornwell Tools AAA Camaro SS.
I love it. I'm excited for Gainesville, man.
Right around the corner. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
Austin, thank you.
I hope they fly by. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks
for having me on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and enjoy this Friday off after a long week and a half.
Attaboy. Well earned.
Thank you for joining us, Austin. You're the man. We'll see you in Gainesville, sir. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. Fireworks.
What? How do you do that? Jason?
I don't know. I'm impressed. How did you do that? Wow.
We got a long thing to learn about here.
Wow.
I guess that's what happens automatically when you're loaded like that guy is now. $250.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Imagine winning $250,000 in anything. That'd be awesome.
You should have asked him how much of that he got to keep.
Yeah. We know the answer for that. You get your driver fee, and then we're gonna give you $300 extra.
No, John, I'm sure took care of him and the team. Yeah. Hey, have you done any comedian work lately?
No, I haven't actually. Actually, I hosted a trivia contest last night for a company at the DoubleTree by SeaWorld. Hello,
Oh,
hello.
okay. Wow. So you're
Yeah,
not
man.
out of work.
I'm not out of work. I work.
Okay.
By the way, should we even talk about this, or should we just let it roll?
Talk about what?
About the competition plus thing, where I got drug into the middle of it. There was no need for me to be thrown into the competition plus article. There was no. I mean, what are we doing here?
Uh-oh. The people want the controversy.
I listen. I thought his piece was very good, and then all of a sudden, I'm trying to watch Alan and Joe talk on Joe's podcast, and then you send over a text with that in there, bro. I really couldn't stop laughing about it, and then I'm like, why is he throwing me under the bus? What did I do?
My
to that
phone
guy?
blew up. I'm just gonna be honest. My phone blew up.
This young lady right here kind of gave me a little backstory about it, and Nicole Erickson. I'm like, I don't know if I want to even tell her what she said, but I'm just like, dude, I don't understand why what I did, or I mean, listen, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. We know that. But apparently the music was really good there.
Apparently it was. Yes. Sadie did have your back, by the way.
Thank you, Sadie, for
Absolutely.
finally saying
Yes,
something.
I texted Sadie about that. Yeah, look, I'll just say this. I have respect for what Bobby Bennett has built over there at Competition Plus, and he's obviously been around the sport for a long time. But you can't start an article, in my opinion, whether it's an opinion piece or not, with I'm objective and unbiased, whatever, and then literally drag somebody into it that has nothing to do with it. I don't care what his beef is with you over what.
Right.
You kind of told me the story, and it's not even, doesn't need to be aired. But if what you heard is true, it's not like something that you did to him directly. It was just like the generalized thing.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I got some real problems with it. It came off to me as being incredibly mature and babyish to just let me find an area to poke at somebody.
Well,
if that changes his opinion of me, then guess what? I don't care. But I'm gonna stand up for the people that I work with. And you're right, you're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. Guess what? I'm not everybody's favorite announcer. People don't like Alan Reinhart. People don't like Joe Costello. People don't like Loans and Tony. Newsflash, when you work in a business like we do, where we're part of entertainment, and you're going to put yourself on camera in front of 35,000 people with a microphone in your hand live, people are not going to like you. Okay.
Right.
Like Taylor Swift's the most popular human on planet Earth, and my Facebook feed was full of "I'm tired of Taylor Swift," right? So, like, people are not going to like you, and that's fine. You know what? And if you don't like us, great. And am I open to criticisms or critiques? I think actually most of us are. Some of us will brush it off and not listen, and some of us amongst our crew will I think definitely listen and have conversations and take it into account. Some people I think take it a little harder than others. Amongst our group, I think you and I think in your head, you're probably rattling off every person I just named, right? Like which one doesn't care, which one takes too hard, which one will talk about it. But at the end of the day, just because you have a website, a platform, like if you got a gripe, like air your gripe. Don't be a
we have
I had a lot harsher words typed up originally, by the way, that I almost posted and I let it go. But yeah.
Here's the deal.
I think there's some explaining to do.
I think I was the easiest target to point out of the entire NHRA. And
by the way, can I drop a minute bombshell on Bobby Bennett? And the race was great because there wasn't an out of work comedian parlaying as a DJ there.
Right.
I have it on personal good record that Wes Buck happens to be a Jason Logan fan, and there was the NHRA /pro discourse that developed, that I would be willing to bet Jason Logan would have been there. In fact,
he would have
been probably would have been the only person on our entire announced broadcast, whatever team that probably worked that event because they specifically didn't want it to feel like an NHRA event in that regard. But like J-Lo worked World Series of Pro Mod last year. Don't know if you're working it this year or not, but worked it last year. Did a great job. His role was totally different than it was an NHRA event because guess what? He wasn't asked to do what he does at NHRA events, but like crushed what he did. And, that's part of some of the stuff we do at NHRA races. It's not like Jason Logan and I sit in the hotel room on Friday night with Joe and Reinhardt and drink beers and say, all right, what type of, what can we do tomorrow to annoy people or whatever? Like some of that stuff is pushed upon us. And that's fine. Like I'm not saying pushed upon us negatively. We have people we work for who have things that need to be done, have ideas, and it is our job to execute those ideas to the best of our abilities. Are we always good at it? No. Do we suck a lot? Yes, we really do. Okay. Are we pretty damn good at it most of the time? I personally think we are. And I know I'm still the new guy to the group, but just based on the feedback that I heard from people throughout last year and over the off season and as we're heading into this year, I think we have a hell of a group that we've put together that works very well together. And for the most part, when we're on. We're really, so it's just my
listen,
take. And everybody's welcome to their own opinion on it.
Well, thank you for sticking up for me too. But I would put our pre-race that we do on Sunday mornings up against NASCAR's. I would put up against Indy cars. I will put it up against anybody's pre-race. We nail that thing every Sunday. And I shouldn't say it takes a lot.
I've worked NASCAR, by the way. I worked NASCAR before NHRA. Yeah. I'm not sure that a lot of people know that, and that's fine, whatever. Like my broadcasting, reporting, announcing background before drag racing doesn't really matter. But I worked NASCAR, and not just Saturday night stuff. I did that. Okay. I worked cup races. I was the lead guy at Fix for 5 years. I've worked plenty of cup races around the country. Our pre-race is significantly better than theirs. The only if we had Brantley Gilbert at the U.S. Nationals, then we'd be right on par with the Daytona 500 pre-race, in my opinion. Except for we put a pre-race together like that every week. Like IndyCar has the 500, and the rest of their pre-races are blah. NASCAR's got Daytona, and the rest of their pre-races are blah.
Right.
We put together a consistently strong pre-race, in my opinion, every single week that I would put up against any sports pre-event entertainment in the country.
I agree. I 1,000%
outside of we're playing one Super Bowl, right? Like that doesn't count. Okay, you give me a budget of $40 million and tell me I've got 45 minutes to fill, I can make it pretty damn entertaining too. Okay, but
and again, this has nothing to do with the pro race in Bradenton, and I'm glad they succeeded. I'm glad they did everything amazingly well. But
I was a big fan of the pro race, honestly. I was too. Do I think that it was the single greatest drag race of all time? I don't. Do I think that it was a good event? I do. Do I think that it had a different feel? Yes, it had a much different feel, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
Do I hope that NHRA and Pro and Drag Illustrated can work a little more together moving forward? Absolutely. I think that would be better for the sport. I thought Richard Freeman, we've talked about this. Richard Freeman was on Bobby Bennett's on Competition Plus with Monday Morning Racer and the guys the night after, 2 nights after. And Richard, I thought, for as big of a maybe, critic of NHRA is, he's probably the most vocal one, at least publicly. I thought that he actually was the most logical and made the most sense of anybody I had heard. And I think that was because the event was over at that point, and that, that let's just all work together. And that's great. I hope they all, it's out of my department. They don't pay me to have opinions on that and think about that and work together. And that's not my deal. They pay me to talk about race cars. They pay you to entertain people. Right. But I hope that works out, and I think Reinhardt said it on Joe's show. I hope there's, if there's a window to have, 2 or 3 of these a year, then great. Have 2 or 3 of them, we're on off weekends and there's a, 3-week break in the schedule when you want to put one together somewhere. Bill Bader does Night of Fire, right? Or Night Under Fire, whatever they call it up there, 1-night deal. That's a great event. The more we can put our product in front of people like the better, in my opinion.
Correct.
Get nitro race cars in front of people who don't watch nitro race cars. Get pro stock in front of people who don't watch pro stock. Get bikes in one of them. Get classes there that like will help grow this sport. You know, I mean, that's really like what I took away from it is like, yeah, if there, you know, I necessarily, you know, now there may be varying opinions. Does that group and organization think that they can go out and put together a competing series? I don't know. I've heard yes, no, and I don't know if that's what they're really talking about, if that's just some people, whatever. Like, I don't know. Again, not my department, don't want to be part of it. But like, what I do know is there's a group of people there now who have an ability to help us grow the sport of drag racing. And, you know, there's a very public article this week about Fox being interested in IndyCar's TV rights because IndyCar's rights are up with NBC or whatever. And I'm sitting here looking at that going like, we've been in this like deadlock head to head with IndyCar. Not that I'm like trying to compete with anybody. And I think we have a much better product on a whole than IndyCar. Like, we don't have the Indy 500. It's my favorite event in the world. Like, we're never going to have that. But like on a whole, week to week, our product is better and more fan friendly. And like, if we have a way to grow that and get us to the point where we can be definitively the #2 motorsport in North America, which is what I think we should be, great.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. How does that not help every one of us? Like, it helps all of us. Let's go.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't care how we get there.
Well, and here's another thing too. And I don't want to liken the Bradenton race to minor league baseball, but minor league baseball go, you know, these major league baseball teams go to all these, you know, well, now they just live out in Phoenix, but you know, we used to be in, you know, the Dodgers in Vero Beach, and you would get to go to these small towns, and for a month out of the year, you could see your heroes play and do these things. So having these guys be able to go to little other tracks, you know, South Georgia Motor Sport, I don't know if they could handle something like that, but could you imagine having nitro down there?
Absolutely, they could handle something like that. Are you kidding me?
But you know, it's like
could.
let's throw you know, having those people who just can't afford to get to Gainesville or can't afford to get to Charlotte or couldn't afford to get to go to Atlanta when we were there, and just do fun events. I mean,
like I live in Bakersfield. People have been talking about like, how do we get a national event at Famoso? And like, I don't know that the patch, like, I don't think the patch is necessarily national event big. Like, I guess that could be the fallback if like anything ever happened to Pomona, but thanks to Lindsay Snyder and NHRA, like, we got to give NHRA kudos here, folks. If we're going to be critical of them in times, we're going to be positive, right? NHRA's done a phenomenal job with the help of Lindsay Snyder and the folks at In-N-Out and making sure Pomona ain't going anywhere for a while. So that's great, right? But like, people always talk about, well, Famoso could be the fallback. Like, Famoso could have one of these standoff, you know, once a year event deals. Like, that's perfect track for it. Like, South Georgia, perfect track. Bradenton, perfect track. Woodburn, Oregon, like, would Severances want to have an event like that? You know, I think that would be a good track for it. But Bowling Green, like, I know Bowling Green has the Hot Rod reunion, you know, in the summer, but like, I think Bowling Green would be a cool, you know, place for that.
Right.
So like, I think that there's, you know, again, anytime we can go somewhere new and put our race cars in front of people who may not have any idea why drag racing is the coolest damn sport in the world, we need to do that as a sport.
Right. I agree. I 1,000%.
And there's a way to do it without cannibalizing ourselves. We don't need to be cannibalizing ourselves.
Right.
We really, like, there's a way to do it without cannibalizing ourselves. And I think there are enough smart people involved in this who get that. I really do. I was thinking about this the other night. Like, remember 5 years ago, the panic we were all in, thinking about owners. What are we going to do as a sport when Don Schumacher is gone? And, you know, now he is, rest in peace. And when John Force is gone, like, you know, and like, they've got, you know, 80% of the cars or whatever. And like, and part of this ties into Loans. On Loans' podcast a couple weeks ago, talking to Eddie Craywick and Kevin McKenna was talking. I forget the exact terminology, but I just listened to it, and he, you know, it basically had to do with like, you know, youth movements come slow until they come fast type of deal, right? And we had kind of a similar deal in ownership that, like, I was thinking about the other day. It might have been yesterday, or the day before. I was like, we're actually in a really, I think, positive place as a sport where we went from Don Schumacher and John Force and Connie Coletta own 80% of the nitro cars out there. To like, you know, we now have Tony Stewart, like one of the most successful, like forget driving, one of the most successful business people in auto racing history, Tony Stewart. Rick Ware. I don't care that Rick Ware's Cup car is not a top 5 car every week. I'm just gonna tell you that. Like, Rick Ware is an incredibly successful business owner, race car racing team owner. Like, not everybody's NASCAR team has to win 12 races a year to be considered successful. It just doesn't. He has built a phenomenal organization across a multitude of racing series. And oh, by the way, if you watch the Pro Superstar Shootout, that Clay Millican car looked pretty damn good. Just going to throw that out there. You know, so like we've added them. Ron Capps went and bought his own team. Antron bought his own team and is expanding, right? Joe Maynard, like these, Joe Maynard. Think about what Joe and Kathy have done coming in here. Randy Glady with Skag now owns race cars, owns teams. Like, these people didn't exist in our sport 4 to 5 years ago. So like, we have literally reinvented ourselves. Richard Freeman has grown Elite Motorsports into an empire. Conversely, Eric Latino came in with the Whiteleys and Greg Anderson and Rob and a couple other people and took KD from a 3-car organization to like 6 or 7 cars now in an expanding world there. You know, Vance and Hines is talking about having rental programs for bikes now, and Matt Smith's got 4 motorcycles. And like, we have actually exploded in ownership over the last 4 or 5 years. Like, if you just take a step back from all the, you know, I think it was I might have been Joe that I heard who said something along the lines of like, if there's one thing that I learned watching the Superstar Shootout is that like people are going to complain because people want to complain, right?
Right.
They brought, you know, you open the internet and Joe was like, oh, wow, look, they're complaining literally the same thing on this show. Like, oh, like Beckman talks too much and Ralph doesn't know what he's doing, and Jamie this and the track prep that and the tech this, and it's like, wow,
the internet is undefeated.
Wow,
undefeated.
It's an NHRA race. Like, oh gosh, Galvin sucks and Tony sucks and tech sucks and track prep sucks. Like, oh, NHRA. Like, Joe was dead on about that, right? Like, people on the internet are going to bitch about what they want to bitch about, but like, as a whole, the direction our sport is heading in, like Mission Foods, right? Outside company, Camping World, hanging around, like, we're in a good place.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Scott says that social media helped grow the sport. By the way, I put that up there because you know whose birthday it is?
Scott's?
Nope, Nikki Sheely's.
What?
Yep, it's Nikki's birthday. Happy birthday, Nikki.
Do you have the song ready?
No, you can't. I can't play that. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Some drag racer just had a birthday or a crew guy, and they played that. They had that song playing on Facebook. It made my day a little bit. But happy birthday, Nikki. She's the queen of our social media. So so Scott likes you, and we all love you, and you do an amazing job. Keep up the good work. But yeah, man. It was, dude. It's been fun, but the internet is undefeated. Social media will always win, and everybody. Listen, again, back in the day, you and I are still going to be there. We get it right 80 to 85% of the time. Sometimes 95% of the time, we're on our game. But you know, there's going to be people like that guy in Norwalk who hates my freaking guts. And guess what? He'll be there next year, and I'll be there next year. Why? Because we love the sport. We love what we do. We love to come and see what we're doing. And again, guys, I'm taking time away from my wife and kids and my life to come out here and try and entertain you. Jason does the same with his wife and kids and his real job to come and educate you on how this stuff works. Cut us a little bit of a break every once in a while. Internet. We have thick skins, but guess what?
It's okay if you don't have me a break. That's fine.
I really don't.
But I'm going to stand up for the people I work with. That is one thing I will always do. I'm not good at biting my tongue in that regard. Never have been. Never will be. Yeah,
and so what is Selena saying here? As we say in South Carolina,
F them and feed them fish heads.
There you go. All right.
Fish heads are awful.
We all have our favorites and we all have our fans, and all we're trying to do is make you fans of this great sport. That's it. That's it. That's all we're trying to do.
Oh, that could be like a postcard.
Yeah. And speaking of postcards,
Those
Jason
sweet.
Galvin has new stickers, new Life's a Drag stickers.
Which I don't have sitting here at my desk, so I'm sorry.
It's okay. They look like
But
that
I will
little
have them. I will have them at the Gator Nationals. Yes, they look like the logo, but they're die cut and like vinyl, and they're not like they're like matte, and I like them a lot. They're we had our first run. We went cheap on our first run. They were a hit. The second run are much nicer. I'm a big fan. They are available now for free at a national event near you. And if you're not making it to a national event anytime soon, you can message Logan or myself, and we'll be happy to ship them to you. But you're going to pay on that because we don't make that much money.
No.
If we have a sponsor for the show, anybody want to sponsor Life's a Drag? If we had Life's a Drag sponsors, then I would probably cover shipping too. But we don't. No.
Feel free. This season,
but we're interested. We're interested. We're interested in sponsors.
We will find a sponsor this season, Jason Galvin.
Yes, we will.
And when we do, we will show you so much love. It will be like, I don't even know. I'll paint my house your logo. I don't even know. We'll figure something out.
Might be a little extreme, but
maybe Jason Galvin and we'll get a tattoo of your company logo or something. I don't know.
I will get a temporary one. Yes.
Could you imagine? I
would ask you where you put it, but we're gonna save that for when it happens.
Come on down to Steve's Auto Body down in Columbia, South Carolina. You got a dinger or dent? Guess what? We'll buff that shit right on out. Where's Steve's Auto Body? Come on now. We can make out, dude. I would love to do. Could you imagine that? Did you get a DUI last week? Do you have a speeding ticket? Did you get hit by a drunk driver? Guess what? Jimmy Rocco's bail bonds will get you out. Things like that. We need like a Chico's bail bond.
Why don't you have a Fiverr voiceover account? Like,
dude, I could do that. Could you imagine that? I should have that. I should totally. I've got a Cameo account. If you want me to send somebody a Cameo, tell them how much you love them, I can do that. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's get this company going. Yes. Nicole, what's her name? What's the name of that company again? Give it to me. I'll do a spot right now.
You're gonna do a spot read?
I'll do a spot read right now for you.
Selena has some reservations about my Dodgers cup, which I also have a Dodgers hat on. I'm not really sure why you have reservations about that. I'm from Los Angeles. Okay?
I got a Cubs hat on.
I'm sorry that we're the greatest baseball franchise of all time. There you go. Hit him up. Clark Copperhead Gaskets. Go for it.
By the way, she's a Braves fan, which I don't understand. Here you go.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
Hey, if you need yourself a head gasket, you come on down to Clark's Copperhead Gaskets. We got plenty. When I say plenty, we got more than 1,000 in stock from every shape and size. Copper is what you're going to need. And if you want to fix whatever head gasket fix, guess what? We got it at Clark Copperhead Gaskets. See, I could do these on the spot. Bam, pow, let's go.
I'd be impressed if I put a bunch of gaskets down, if you could even figure out which one was the head gasket.
I could figure out a gasket, but that's the thing. Wait, that's the thing with the circles.
Yes,
that go on top.
Exactly.
I've been to Nitro school before.
That's the thing
with the circles. You put the thing that goes up and down. What's that thing called? Piston. Am I right with that? Did I get that right?
I'm not doing this.
I mean, I don't know.
The show's already too long.
I know what a spark plug is.
We're not doing nitros. It's only because one of them hit you in the head last year.
I know what an oil pan is. I could spot those out. By the way, that's going to be a game we've got coming up this next season. Jason Galvin is name that part. Name the part. So
okay, that's cool.
A race coming.
I like it. We got a
national event. I wonder if I should. Man, I wonder if I could play one here. I'll have to ask.
You know what I just thought about, dude? I just thought about this. You know, we're always thinking about stuff to give away.
Yep,
like for games and stuff. Why aren't we giving away Life's a Drag stickers?
Oh, we will. Now that we have them, we'll give them away.
There you go. That's how we're gonna grow this.
I bought Fire Joe Costello Fire stickers that I was going to give away. I still think I have a bunch. I'll give those away too.
You should. I have one on the back of my laptop.
One's on the back of my laptop.
It's great. It's great.
But yeah,
we can't tell you everything, Nicole. That's not allowed. We can't just patience. You're gonna have to get to Gainesville to see what else we have up our sleeve.
Yeah, it's gonna listen. We're coming in hot in Gainesville. We're coming in hot. Just know that.
There's a rumor that Jordan Vandergrift's going to be at the racetrack more this year in a non-driving role, and I personally want to play like the dating game with him or something. Like some sort of when we have an oil down. Like let's just stick him on the return road, and
I've already
pick 5 girls out of the stands.
I've already spoken to him, and when that becomes official, he's coming on here. I told him, I go, we need you on here, and I go, we're going to talk about what you're what Jason Galvin's talking about for about 5 seconds, and the rest is going to be Bachelor in Paradise. That's all I care about. That's all I care about.
So Jordan, who was the best kisser on Bachelors in Paradise?
Dude, they go at it right out the gate, man.
Of course they do. They get paid to.
Yeah, I know, but
they literally have a production meeting, and they're like, listen, okay. Like, do you remember when you were 13 and you turned on Skinamax and they were like doing it, but they weren't really doing it, whatever. So we're gonna need that today. Okay.
Yeah, but
and then
some of those people are doing it. They're actually doing it in the honeymoon or the secret suite. I love it.
That's why everybody watches.
But would you ever do something like that? I don't think I could ever. I mean,
I'm happily married though.
But if we weren't married, and we were 20. And we were with Jordan Vandergrift. Would you?
Maybe if I look like Jordan Vandergrift.
That's a good point.
Who the hell wants to watch me?
That's a good point.
If I look like him, maybe.
I would just feel so I would be so weird about it. Because I'm not into PDA at all, man. I don't like it. But, get a couple beers in me. We'll talk differently. You know what I'm saying? But,
I have pictures that say the otherwise, but
that's why I kind of threw that out there first. But yeah, so anyways, there we go. What's Jim Park saying? What? I try to support so many parts of drag. Come on, Jim, you could watch that. You would love it, man. Love it. So I'm telling you, the new Dynasty thing on Apple TV, very good, very well produced about the Patriots.
Okay. I'm into Masters of the Air on Apple TV right now.
You know what? I watched the first 3 episodes, and my grandfather was a tail gunner in the back of one of those things. And I get it, man, but I can't get past that dude. He's Elvis. He's Elvis now.
Yeah. See, I never saw Elvis, so I'm good with that.
Oh, okay. Then you're in the clear. But watching him because he became Elvis for like a year and a half after the movie.
Selena's right. Selena's right. Parks does lie. Okay, I've been there. I've been there when DJ's gotten out of the funny car. Did anybody check tire pressure? Jim, yeah, I swear I did. And they checked tire pressure and it's off. I've been there. Just gonna throw it out there.
I love it.
All right, let's go.
I got to go do manual labor on a Friday at my mom's house.
Yes.
So again, for those of you who are going to watch this in the replay, refollow us on the other thing. I'll keep reposting on YouTube. I'll keep reposting.
Apple, Spotify, like, subscribe, auto download.
Yeah. Tell a friend.
Brother out.
And I'm sure we'll talk to each other next week, and we'll be going from there. But thank you guys very much. Ooh, let me play the theme music, Jason, because that would be what a real podcast would do. So, guys, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. We don't see you next week. You're going to see us in Gainesville, but we're going to probably do another one of these next week because hopefully we'll get Jordan Vandergrift on here and get some information from him. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Jason Galvin, we'll see you later.
Peace.
Oops. Out.